Good evening. It's Wednesday, February 19th. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Maya Trabulsi. New action this afternoon on the local response to the coronavirus. Today, the County Board of Supervisors voted to extend a local public health emergency related to the outbreak. And tomorrow, the last of those quarantined at MCAS Miramar from China are scheduled to leave the base. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman has more on what this means.
Maya, the board voted unanimously to extend both a local emergency and a public health emergency relating to the coronavirus. Now, you might be thinking, why does the county need to do this? Aren't the remaining people quarantined at MCAS Miramar about to leave? Well, the answer is yes. Around 65 people are scheduled to leave there tomorrow. And while there have been 2 cases of the confirmed coronavirus, also being called COVID-19, from those on base, the county is now looking at the possibility of the virus spreading within the San Diego community.
I believe this declaration is an act of proactive protection for our community to prevent the preventable.
To be clear, right now there are no signs that the virus is spreading in San Diego, and health officials are adamant that there is no risk to the general public. But the CDC believes that the United States will be hit by this virus over the next year, and that's what health officials are preparing for. Now, continuing this declaration will help get medical supplies here quickly if needed. The county is also working to increase bed space at local hospitals, and now they can pursue reimbursement for costs from the state and federal government. Now, separately from what's going on at MCAS Miramar, that's the federal government show, the county is also asking people who have recently traveled to China to self-quarantine inside their homes. So far, the county is monitoring more than 200 people who have come from China. About 80 of those people have completed the quarantine, and while some testing is still underway, there have been no positive results yet. But there are these still 2 confirmed cases at UC San Diego Medical Center in Hillcrest, and 1 child is in isolation at Rady Children's Hospital, with those test results still pending. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
And now that people are being let out of quarantine, we're seeing more reunions, and that includes a family from San Diego.
Those guys, they are amazing. They're the best people. Yeah, I can't thank them enough.
And that's the wife of Brian Hickey, who traveled to Sacramento to reunite with her and their 2 kids. The 3 were quarantined at Travis Air Force Base in the Bay Area. We'll hear more about their experience later in the newscast. For the second time this week, a new California primary poll shows strong support for Bernie Sanders. The Vermont senator is far ahead of the pack with 32%, according to the Public Policy Institute of California. Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren have seen substantial drops from a poll conducted last month. They're now running even with Michael Bloomberg and Pete Buttigieg. California is the largest of 14 Super Tuesday states, voting on March 3rd. But first, there are still 2 other states that will vote, including Nevada, this weekend. In less than an hour from now, the Democrats will debate on the Las Vegas Strip. Arlette Sainz has a preview.
Michael Bloomberg on the debate stage for the first time tonight, but he won't be receiving a warm welcome from his Democratic rivals.
Anybody here worth $60 billion, you can run for president.
Bloomberg has spent over $400 million in TV, radio, and digital ads across the country. But his team argues there is more to his campaign than money.
Mike believes that Donald Trump is an existential threat to this country. His reelection poses a huge, enormous challenge to America, so he will spend whatever it takes to get Donald Trump out of office.
The former New York City mayor holding mock debate sessions in recent days to prepare. 3 candidates previewing their attacks on Bloomberg at CNN town halls last night.
I actually thought he should be on the debate stage because I don't think you should just be able to buy your way to the presidency.
But I do think it's a bit obscene that we have somebody who, by the way, chose not to contest in Iowa, in Nevada, in South Carolina, in New Hampshire. He said, I don't have to do that. I'm worth $60 billion.
Do you think Michael Bloomberg is trying to buy the Democratic nomination for president?
Yes. What else do you call it when you dip into your endless reserves of millions and billions and don't go through the process of campaigning?
Pete Buttigieg, who leads the delegate count right now, also taking aim at frontrunner Bernie Sanders.
We're asking people to choose between a revolution and a billionaire, I just don't think that's speaking to where most of us are right now.
Sanders trying to disavow the tactics that some of his supporters have taken.
There are people out there who want to divide the progressive movement. We can have a debate about the issues, but I do not believe in online bullying. End of discussion.
I'm Elizabeth Warren. I'm the woman who is going to beat Donald Trump.
Elizabeth Warren losing her voice on the campaign trail, but tweeting this, apparently comparing Bloomberg to Trump, writing, "At least now primary voters can get a live demonstration of how we each take on an egomaniac billionaire." Joe Biden is hoping for a strong finish in Nevada after disappointing showings in Iowa and New Hampshire.
We choose unity over division. We choose compassion over cruelty. And maybe most importantly, we choose truth over lies. Truth over lies. So folks, it's time for us to get up.
And that was Arlette Sains reporting. And as you prepare for the primary, the KPBS Voter Guide can help you organize your election picks. Our online resource is customizable to your area. Go through each race and ballot measure and save your choices along the way. You can find a link to the KPBS Voter Guide on our homepage, kpbs.org. President Trump continued his trip to Southern California today with a round of golf. It was part of an event hosted by Oracle Chairman Larry Ellison in Rancho Mirage. Supporters paid anywhere from $100,000 to $250,000 to take part. President Trump also visited California's Central Valley today, where he discussed water policy for area farmers. And President Trump often points to retired Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher as the epitome of a SEAL. But to some in the tight-knit SEAL community, Gallagher is the exact opposite of that. KPBS military reporter Steve Walsh says there are concerns that Gallagher, a convicted war criminal, is damaging efforts to reform the culture of the once quiet professionals.
For those who have and continue to slander my name, the truth is coming.
That's retired Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher speaking in a recent video posted online. Along with the video, Gallagher posted the names and photos of members of his platoon who testified against him at his trial. In a controversial and at times chaotic trial, Gallagher was convicted of a single war crimes charge last July. Bradley Strasser teaches ethics to SEALs and other special operators at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California.
It's terrible. The idea that you have this guy who his own peers within the SEAL community accused him of war crimes.
Strasser says he's concerned about the impact of a Navy SEAL not only openly challenging military leadership, but almost embracing a warped image of what SEALs represent. It's a problem SEALs may have helped create. In 2005, the Pentagon asked all branches to raise the number of special operators. The lesser-known SEALs turned to Hollywood to build awareness, even greenlighting the 2012 film Act of Valor, which featured active-duty Navy SEALs.
You don't expect your family to understand what you're doing. You just hope they'll accept it.
It was the start of creating a mystique. Strasser and others in the SEAL community have been warning for years that the SEALs were losing control of their image, especially after the fame SEALs achieved after the raid which killed Osama bin Laden.
You can argue that they could have quartered this narrative itself, but then they lost control of the story. And I think it's pretty damaging to their culture. And then I think it's really played itself out in these cases like Gallagher.
Gallagher and his surrogates also used conservative media to court President Trump before and after the trial. Strasser says SEALs are expertly trained and highly disciplined, but increasingly their media reputation is of a force so elite that it may be above the law. That's exactly the image that seems to have attracted Trump.
No. SEALs are actually, got to be these rough men, these killers that go out there and do what they got to do. I've heard it sometimes called within SEAL culture, this kind of pirate culture.
Strasser says the SEALs' media image makes it even harder to tackle deeper issues within the force. Special Operations Command recently issued a report critical of special operations in general and the SEALs in particular. The report criticizes part of the SEALs' recruiting pipeline, which brings in many people from outside the Navy. Recruits are isolated all the way from basic training. The report says it can breed a sense of entitlement. Dick Couch is a Vietnam-era Navy SEAL and author. Couch says training is so long and intense, it doesn't leave a lot of time to become part of the larger Navy.
So the Navy SEALs, they really don't know much about being a sailor. They know about special operations. They're never really in the Navy. And I think that helping them understand that you're a United States Navy sailor first, and then you can be a Navy SEAL. That has to be a part of it.
In August, the head of Naval Special Warfare, Rear Admiral Colin Green, issued a letter saying, "We have a problem," and announced his own review of the SEALs. Naval Special Warfare would not comment on the status. In the last week, there have been reports that Green may step down early and retire later this year.
Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
Now to another criminal case marked by the intervention of President Trump. Over the past 24 hours, the disgraced former governor of Illinois has gone from a prison cell to a packed press conference. Daryl Forges has more on the sudden freedom for Rod Blagojevich.
Rod Blagojevich coming out to cheers outside his Chicago home.
This is an act of kindness, and I also believe it's the beginning of the process to actually turn an injustice into a justice. I'm a Trumpocrat.
The former Illinois governor spoke to the press and supporters. Reflecting on his years behind bars, he is now calling for criminal justice reform.
As I move forward, I can take some of that experience that I've had and try to do what I can to try to improve what is a broken, and I believe in many cases, a corrupt criminal justice system.
Blagojevich was convicted on corruption charges, including his attempt to sell former President Barack Obama's Senate seat. The former governor was one of 11 convicted criminals granted clemency Tuesday by the president. After serving 8 years, Blagojevich still maintains his innocence.
From beginning to end, this was persecution masquerading as prosecution.
Illinois Republicans are upset about the commuted sentence. Patty Blagojevich defending her husband as protesters interrupted his speech.
Just ignore him.
But for now, Blagojevich is home. Daryl Forges, KPBS News.
And here in California, a different kind of state of the state address from Governor Gavin Newsom. Instead of the usual long list of topics, there was a focus on the two most pressing issues: homelessness and housing.
Let's call it what it is. It's a disgrace that the richest state in the richest nation, succeeding across so many sectors, is falling so far behind to properly house, heal, and humanely treat so many of its own people. Every day, the California dream is dimmed by the wrenching reality of families, of children, and seniors living unfed on a concrete bed. Healthcare and housing can no longer be divorced. After all, what's more fundamental to a person's well-being than a roof over their head? Doctors should be able to write prescriptions for housing the same way they do for insulin and antibiotics.
In his annual speech, the governor pushed the state to lower its legal bar for forcing people into mental health treatment. He also wants greater accountability for the money sent to cities and counties and ensure it's being spent directly on the issue. California's homeless population jumped 16% last year to an estimated 150,000 people. San Diego has started enforcing a ban on short-term vacation rentals for new granny flats after an investigation by our partner iNewsSource. In 2017, the City Council required that all new granny flats be rented for at least 30 days, but there never was a plan to enforce it. Mayor Kevin Faulconer now says there are clear violations and 3 city departments, including code enforcement, and will work to enforce the law. For more on this story, go to iNewsSource.org. The Boy Scouts of America have filed for bankruptcy in the face of more than 300 lawsuits from men who say they were sexually abused as scouts. KPBS reporter Priya Sridhar looks into how that could impact local lawsuits.
All right, good morning. Thank you for coming.
The San Diego-based Zalkin law firm is suing the Boy Scouts of America on behalf of 27 men, including Michael Hernandez, who says he was abused as a scout in Orange County in 1973 when he was 12 years old.
I've never talked about it to anybody until I sat down with him in November. But it's just, just keep it in,
A new California state law created a 3-year window for victims of sexual abuse like Hernandez to come forward beginning on January 1st. Erwin Zalkin says that the bankruptcy filing could shorten that window for new claims against the Boy Scouts of America.
In California now, we have this 3-year window where victims who were barred before can bring their cases. The bankruptcy judge in Delaware may just say, well, we're going to have a 1-year bar date, and you're going to have to file your claims within 1 year. So there's a certain urgency now for victims of Boy Scout sexual abuse to file a claim within whatever that bar date is going to be.
He also says the bankruptcy filing will stop all lawsuits in their tracks, but that doesn't mean that the victims won't be able to reach settlements once the bankruptcy is resolved. Recent tax filings show that the Boy Scouts of America has $1.4 billion in assets. Priya Sridhar, KPBS News.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, who is Michael Bloomberg, the billionaire businessman shaking up the race for the White House? Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Oceanside is the first city in San Diego County to bring a pure water facility online. KPBS reporter Eric Anderson says the plant boosts the city's drinking water supply.
With a drumline providing the drama, officials planted a pin outside of the county's first advanced water recycling facility. It was a way of putting the project on the map.
Please join me in thanking the engineers.
Oceanside's Utilities Director Carrie Dale officially opened the $71 million plant, which will bolster the city's drinking water supply. City worker Sarah Davis says the facility takes in recycled water, which is clean enough for lawns, but not clean enough to drink.
The recycled water goes through 3 more purification steps before it's injected back into our groundwater. And we purify it again at our Mission Basin groundwater purification facility that's just down the road before it goes out to residents and businesses.
The plant will add 3 to 5 million gallons of water to the city's supply every day, and that's water the city won't have to import. Sandy Curl is the general manager of the San Diego County Water Authority. She says 3 things have happened to make it possible.
There are no new sources of fresh water. Number 2 is that the economics of it now makes sense as a part of the supply portfolio. And then number 3, the regulatory environment is such that potable reuse can be done. It took many years to get the regulations through the State Division of Drinking Water.
Oceanside's Pure Water Project is the first to come online in San Diego County, but a couple of other North County water districts are looking at the idea, and San Diego is poised to begin its massive Pure Water project soon. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
Scientists are keeping a close eye on a volcano in Mexico. It's nicknamed El Popo. Right now, it's on a Phase 2 yellow alert. That's due to recent explosions and other activity that have increased the depth of the volcano's crater. People are being asked to keep their distance as a precaution. The volcano is located just outside Mexico City. Another nice warm day is expected tomorrow, but we're still expecting a chance of rain this weekend. Dajia Swad has our forecast.
Dry Wednesday we've had here across much of Southern California, and that will be the trend even as we head into your Thursday. It's not until late week where we really start to notice some changes. So for tonight, you're looking at a low 51 in San Diego. There will, however, be the chance for some fog late tonight and headed into tomorrow morning. You're looking at a overnight low in Oceanside of 42 and cooling down to 49 in Borrego Springs, 36 in Mount Laguna. As you head away from that coastline, you have a better chance to stay away from those low clouds. Now for our Thursday, we'll be tracking out a low pressure that will be offshore here. This low will continue to roll further to the east as we make our way into your Friday and Saturday. So by late Friday is when we really start to notice some changes, a bit more moisture. And then as we head into Saturday, well, we'll be grabbing for the umbrellas. But in the meantime, seasonal conditions further to the north through Nevada, back into Utah. We'll be on the warm side of things here in Southern California, topping off in the lower 70s here in San Diego, 71 in Oceanside, high of 79 in Borrego Springs, and upper 50s for Mount Laguna for Thursday. Then comes that weekend. Moisture will be with us. You can see our jet stream have a little dip there. That's called a trough, and that is an indication that we have a disturbance in the area. So as we take you into this future outlook here, your 5-day outlook, you're looking at highs in the upper 60s. Friday, partly sunny skies, cooling down into the upper 40s. Once again, tomorrow, coastal areas could see some fog late, drying out as you head throughout the day, or clearing up, I should say, as you head throughout the day. Friday, beautiful. Saturday, showers will be in the region, topping off in the lower 60s, and then drying out for Sunday and Monday. Monday looking at lots of sunshine. You're looking at highs in the 70s Thursday and Friday. Showers will be arriving late Friday into Saturday, and then we begin to see drier conditions into the end of the weekend, and a very similar trend out to the mountains as well. But Saturday gets real cold in the mountain areas with a high only in the upper 30s. Also feeling that cool down here in the deserts for Saturday with showers arriving. Reporting for KPBS News, I'm your meteorologist, Dajia Swad. Back to you.
A family from San Diego separated by the coronavirus quarantine is back home. Brian Hickey caught up with them in Sacramento, where they talked about their experience and their gratitude for first responders.
A very happy reunion for a family separated nearly 2 months because of the coronavirus.
I've been waiting for this day.
Yanjuin Wee and her 2 kids, Mia and Rowan, were released from quarantine at Travis Air Force Base this morning. Her relieved husband, Ken, flew from their San Diego home to greet them.
The whole thing about them being separated and I can't get to them and they can't get out, and all of the unknowns and all the things that were happening there, and then the quarantine.
They were among the evacuees flown out of Wuhan, the epicenter of the virus, where they had been prisoners in their own home for weeks.
They had been stuck in Wuhan inside for her before we left. Probably was like 1 month and a half. For my son was a little bit over a month. And for me, my last day out in Wuhan was January 19th.
They were evacuated and brought to Travis Air Force Base on this plane chartered by the U.S. State Department on February 5th. For 2 more weeks, they were quarantined in a hotel at Travis Air Force Base under the care of the Department of Health and Human Services.
Those guys, they are amazing. They're the best people. Yeah, I can't thank them enough. It's like what they're doing for us, it's extraordinary. Yeah, like beyond my expectations.
From Sacramento, the Burnetts are catching a flight back to their home in San Diego, where they plan some family time and a good meal. At Sacramento International Airport, Brian Hickey, KCRA 3 News.
California's health insurance exchange saw a spike in enrollment this season. It may be tied to a new state requirement that everyone carry insurance or face a penalty. Capital Public Radio's Sammy Caola has more on the covered California numbers and a deadline extension for signups.
If you've been putting off getting health insurance, Covered California is giving people until April 30th to enroll in a plan. But you must sign up before the end of March to escape the penalty. If you sign up in April, you'll pay a fine on your 2021 taxes. Covered California saw a 41% increase in signups since last enrollment season. Executive Director Peter Lee says that was the goal.
The penalty's on the books, but no one wants the money. We want that to be the economic nudge to get people to get coverage.
Governor Gavin Newsom did originally pitch the penalty as a revenue raiser that would help support new subsidies for people who struggle to afford insurance. In the meantime, the state is already providing that aid. Covered California has put millions into advertising the penalty, but still more than half of uninsured residents don't know about it, according to a December survey. In Sacramento, I'm Sammy Caola.
Uber has laid off dozens of people in Southern California. About 80 workers at a customer support office in LA were let go without notice on Tuesday. The company is outsourcing that work to the Philippines. Uber has cut more than 1,000 jobs since going public last year. And meanwhile, workers at another big name in tech are forming a union. Kickstarter, one of the top crowdfunding platforms, is the first well-known Silicon Valley tech company to take this step. The vote was close, and it came after months of tension at the company. Countries around the world aren't doing enough to protect children's health and development, a new report suggests, and the research ranked the United States lower than you may expect. Mandy Gaither has more in today's Health Minute.
Awesome.
The U.S. ranks lower than 38 other countries when it comes to children's survival, health, education, and nutrition, a new report suggests. The research published in The Lancet ranked 180 countries based on data that used various factors to measure the extent of which a child was given the opportunity to fulfill their potential. This included child survival rates, years of school, teen birth rates, maternal mortality, prevalence of violence, growth, and nutrition. The U.S. came in at number 39, with Norway ranked first overall, and the Central African Republic coming in last. To improve outcomes among children, some of the recommendations by researchers are for countries to stop excessive carbon emissions, tighten regulations around commercial marketing of junk food, alcohol, and other harmful products, introduce new policies to protect children's health, nutrition, and rights, and incorporate children's voices into policy decisions. For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Some good news tonight for the NASCAR driver involved in a major crash at the end of the Daytona 500. Ryan Newman's racing team posted this photo showing Newman and his daughters before he was released from the hospital just today. They say he's up, walking around, and in good spirits as he recovers from injuries. On Monday night, Newman's car spun out and crashed just before crossing the finish line. Rescue crews had to cut the roof off his car to get him out. And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. What are the finer details behind Measure C? On Morning Edition, a closer look at what would happen if voters approve the tax measure to expand the convention center. And on Midday Edition, affordable but separate housing, we'll tell you about a downtown condo project with different entrances based on what people pay. As always, you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a great evening.